Hooligans! We back with another episode of the Hooligans League podcast. Offseason edition. And this one is straight business. All right. We have the draft in less than a week. This Sunday is our draft. We figure out our draft order on Saturday. And there is some shit we got to lock down before all that happens. And that's what this episode is about. It's draft week. It's ballot season. There are things we got to vote on. So that's what we're getting into. So sit back, get the big screen going, because we got a lot to discuss. Let's go.
Best in the business when it comes to a quarterback sneak.
Let's go! 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 Let's go!
All right. It's time to get into it. For those that really don't give a fuck about league decisions and votes and rules and format, and you just want to be told what to do, this episode is not for you. I did try to make our league ballot that we'll use, our survey, where we'll vote and make those decisions as detailed as possible so that you don't have to watch this episode. But one second, I highly recommend that you do watch this in its entirety. It won't be too long, but it's just it's boring. It's boring stuff. Got to be honest. We just got to make some calls on some things. I don't find it boring, but I know some of you will. So today is all business. We'll first talk about, some easy things that have already been decided. It's draft week. The draft is at the end of this week. We nailed down that Sunday. The draft lottery is Saturday. We got our league theme, which, don't worry, I haven't brought the theme into the podcast much yet, but it'll be coming. With the draft, we do want to talk about a video call because we hadn't figured that out yet. And then we have 5 things that we need to vote on. And so we'll get into all that. But first, let's talk about first this video call, actually. So draft is Sunday, and we're going with 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for the start time. So that should be late enough that Dan can make it on Pacific time. I think that's what time you guys are using right now. I actually don't know how many hours behind you are. But also late enough on the East Coast for all the parents to make it. So 8:30 p.m. is when our draft is on Sunday. We will start a FaceTime. Yes, I said a FaceTime at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So 30 minutes before the draft. Now, Dickie, don't worry. This isn't a way of not inviting you. FaceTime does allow Android users, Windows users to be a part of them now. So we don't have to worry about time restrictions or the number of people. I can just start a FaceTime on my phone. I'll send the link to the group chat, and you'll be able to join via your Android mobile phone, via your computer, however you want to do it. All you'll need is that link that I'll share. And if you want to just join on your phone, you just accept the call and hop right in. It should be super easy. I haven't done it before, but I watched some YouTube videos on it. So yeah, that makes things super easy forever, actually, because we can just do a FaceTime. So 8 p.m. on Sunday, we'll start the FaceTime. There might be a couple decisions that we need to make on that FaceTime, depending on how some of the votes go. And then the draft will start at 8:30. Once everyone's in the lobby, I can hit start whenever. But don't be a dick and push it too late. I don't want us to be on the edge, having to decide if we have to start the draft without everyone in the sleeper draft lobby. So 8:30 start time is what we're aiming for. But if you're running a tiny bit late, just let us know and I'll hit start when is appropriate. So that's the draft. The day before is when you'll find out the draft order. So Saturday morning, I will drop a either Saturday morning, it could be even Friday night, depending on how some things go, but I'll drop a very mini podcast episode that will announce all of the league votes and the decisions that we made. And it will also reveal your drivers. The drivers will be selected at random. I've done that, football rush random race thing in the past. I haven't actually decided how I'll pick the drivers, but it will be at random. Everyone will have an equal shot at getting the number 1 driver or the number 12 driver. It'll be at random. The whole race is random, but your odds at getting a specific racer are as good as anyone else's. So that episode will be dropped either Friday night or Saturday morning. You'll find out who your racer is, and then the race begins at 7:30. And following that race, we will have our draft order. So I will then input the draft order into Sleeper, and you'll have less than 24 hours to do your final draft prep based on your draft order. So the draft is definitely going to be interesting this year, but it is fun to have just one weekend that is all draft focused. So look out for that mini episode that will come out Friday or Saturday. So that's what we've accomplished. We do have a few things left. We have the dues and the prizes. We gotta confirm the league settings, which there's really not much to talk on there, and then league rules, which there really isn't much. We have 5 things, or really 5 categories in total to discuss. And so I need you all to get ready to vote. Because your vote fucking matters. Guys, your vote matters. All the voting, all the questions that I'll pose, there will be a don't care option. So if you don't care and you feel like your vote really shouldn't matter, you'll be able to express that. But certain questions, certain things we need to vote on are more important than others. So I'll break it down as I go, but there will be times where we need a heavy majority to make a change, because we're not going to implement something that is significant without a heavy majority of the league being in favor of it. So for those that tend to sit on the fence and just want to click don't care, do know that a don't care vote might actually be more of like a no vote for some of these. But again, if you don't care, you don't care. And 1 second. Boba! What are you barking at, buddy? Yeah, I don't know either, bud. Cut it out. So we got 5 things to discuss. We got the prizes and payouts. That should be pretty simple. No one spoke up about that, and so I only made some minor tweaks, but I think it will simplify things moving forward. Punishments. We didn't really discuss it, but I made it clear that I was going to bring it up. The trade party silent auction that seemed to have some momentum, so I did want to bring it to vote to see if people were actually interested in that, and I expanded a proposal for that a little bit further so that it was something that was concrete that you could vote on. I think it's fun, but I won't be heartbroken if we don't do it. The post-draft waivers, I brought this up since we're going to have an 11-day preseason period. We do need to figure out how we handle waivers during that time. In the past, it's just been a free-for-all. Pick up players who aren't drafted when you want. Now that we're drafting a week and a half early, might want to change that up. And then roster sizes. This comes up every year. No one brought it up in the group chat, but when I asked for last call, it came up. And it comes up every single year. So we're going to vote on that again. I think we voted last year, and we definitely did the year before. We might even had the year before some changes. So it's just always something that our league faces with how deep the league is and how thin the waiver wire can be. So we'll vote on that again. So 5 different things we're looking at. So first up, the prizes and payouts. Like I said, no drastic changes to the model that I have here, the proposal. For a quick recap, last season, we had the same 3 categories of prizes that we've had for at least 3 years now. We had the playoff prizes ranging from $900 if you win it all to $50 if you were the toilet bowl champion. Then we had the regular season prizes, which was $100 to the number 1 seed, $20 to the 2 seed, and $50 if you were either most points, the survivor champ, and best week. And then the last one was the weekly prizes to the top scorer and the second highest scorer of the week, being $20 and $10. And so you'll see that this really model of 3 different types of prizes remains the same. The individual prizes themselves will all remain the same, but the value of each prize has some slight tweaks to it, but nothing world changing. So for this proposal, we got to start off by looking at the buy-in. The buy-in increases by $10. It's $230 this year, which means we have $2,760 in the prize pool. We got to take out $36 for league legacy and $14 for the trophy nameplate for the champion. And that leaves us with just over $2,700 up for grabs this year. $2,710 to be exact. A lot of money to be claimed. Probably more than half the league will walk away with some of it. Actually, most of the league will walk away with some of it. We usually only have a couple of people who don't win any money back. But then there will probably be 3 or 4 that really take home most of the money. So, $2,710 is the prize pool. Weekly prizes remains the exact same. No changes here. $20 to the top scorer, $10 to the second scorer, $420 total for weekly prizes. Nothing changes. The other 2 categories is where you start to see some slight variance in what we had previously. So let's look at the regular season prizes. The first seed overall will win $115, which is half of their buy-in. I tried with this payout proposal to really make it be based on the buy-in amount so that in future years, it's the same formula. It just keeps increasing as our prize pool increases. So number 1 seed receives $115, which is half of their buy-in. The number 2 seed gets an increase to $60, which is a quarter of their buy-in, or roughly a quarter of their buy-in. The survivor champ and most points also get $60, so a quarter of their buy-in, up from $50. And then best week gets $30. One of the changes I wanted to see made this year was really flipping the values for being the second seed overall and having the best week. When looking at the prizes last year, I realized it was kind of silly that someone who had one great week made more than 2 times more than the second best team in our league. And so went with that, really a kind of a swap for those prizes. The 2 seed now wins $60 instead of 20, and the best week wins 30 instead of 50. So minor tweaks to those, and everything else is kind of the same, just adjusted for the inflation that our league sees year to year. So pretty similar format as last year. Really just a change of $10 or so for the prizes. For the playoffs, first place now wins $920, which is 4 times the buy-in. Last year, we had $900. I think it was just kind of arbitrarily picked. I don't recall having any rationale to it. But this year, $920, and that is exactly 4 times your buy-in. So you win the league, and you have paid for the next 3 seasons of the league and this year. Second place wins $460, which is 2 times the buy-in. Third place wins 1 buy-in, $230. Fourth place wins half a buy-in, $115. Fifth place wins approximately 3/8 of a buy-in, $85. Sixth place, you made the playoffs, but you didn't win a single thing. You get 1/4 of your buy-in, $60. And then the toilet champ also gets 1/4 of their buy-in, $60. So slight changes to each prize, but it's all just based on the buy-in. Whatever our buy-in is, we can apply this each year to the payouts. And so it's pretty easy to calculate each year, and we don't have to make any changes. So when you put them side by side to last year, here you go. You can pause it if you'd like and take a look to see exactly what the changes are. I highlighted the biggest changes, which really are that second seed in the regular season gets a substantial increase in payment, and then best week gets a slight drop. And then you'll also see for the playoff prizes, second and third place prizes have actually gone down a little bit because they're based on the buy-in now and not just kind of arbitrarily picked. But besides those, basically everything else has increased, I think, by like $10 for the most part. And that's because we have more money in the pool. But there is a but here. After doing this math, which I did all clean numbers to keep it simple. There is $35 remaining. And we have a few different directions we can go with this $35. So we could either give it to the champion and the runner-up and increase those prizes, given that they are really the most important prizes in the league. You want to make it to the championship game, and thus we might want to increase the amount they win for making it there. We could add another $30 regular season prize similar to best week. Like we could have one for most points against or the survivor runner-up. We could get creative. Those are just the 2 that popped in my mind, but we could add another prize Or the last one, which is probably the simplest, but it just kind of makes the prize pool a little bit more confusing because it won't be round numbers. We can just spread that $35 to all of like the $60 prizes so that they can actually be 1/4 of the buy-in. So like 60 isn't actually 1/4 of 230. The correct amount would be $62.50. So there's a few different options. This isn't a big decision we have to make. It's only $35, but I didn't want to just decide without hearing from you all. So I'll want to hear what you have to say about what we should do with this $35. So for the ballot, this Google survey that will go out following the podcast, you will have to vote on two things for prizes. You will vote yes, no, or don't care on the proposal that I just outlined. And really for this, because it's not a big change, I'm just going to say we need more yes votes than no votes. Feel free to put as many don't cares as you'd like. If we have more no's than yeses, then I will make a tweak and we'll figure it out. And then share your thoughts for the $35. I'll have it in the survey. I'll see what you guys say, and then we'll just make a call. We'll probably have to announce that on the FaceTime during the draft. So that's it for the prizes. Pretty simple. Pause the podcast, look at it, make sure you're good, you're comfortable, and then you'll vote. Next up, we have punishments. I think we used to have a punishment in this league where last place paid for third place to get their money back, some version of that. But we really haven't had punishments since. Currently our punishment that we voted on last year, totally forgot about it until I reviewed the rules, that you get last pick for a bed at the trade party. Now that I feel like I liked that when we voted for it, but now that it's been so long, I don't care about it as much anymore. So I really feel like we need to step our punishment game up. This is year 12. So much pride comes with winning this league. There should be just as much shame in losing. So I have a proposal. This is a significant change. It's not something you guys signed up for, so we will need a good amount of yeses for it to pass. But I think I found a way to have punishments without it being too strict and too painful that too many people will be against it. So what I'm proposing is, one, that we increase the punishment for last place in the regular season, and two, we move that last pick for bed selection to loser of the toilet bowl. So let's start there. So what I'm thinking is we can actually keep that punishment and use it as a way to elevate the toilet bowl a little bit. So the two teams that lose in the first round of the toilet bowl would then face off in the second week of the playoffs in a head-to-head competition for last pick for bed selection at the following trade party. So if you lose that first week of the playoffs in the toilet bowl, that means you're one of the worst teams in the league. And you go against the other terrible team in the league. And whoever loses that, they get fucked for a bed the following year. It elevates and intensifies the toilet bowl. What would normally be a meaningless week of fantasy football for those teams now becomes a little bit more important. And it gives a true punishment for sucking in the playoffs as an already sucky non-playoff team. So that would be one of the phases of this proposal. But the other one, we would need an actual punishment for the last place of the regular season. Our league has always treated the regular season last place standing as more important than the consolation round. And they should be punished accordingly. So what my proposal is that between now and the start of the season, we would have to figure out a punishment that we can all agree on or get a majority agreement on. And the loser would have to fulfill their punishment by a date decided by the league. And if they do not complete that punishment, they are replaced by Sean Dolan. So there is no sneaking out of it. Sean Dolan, former member of the league, is itching to get back in. And this could be his ticket in. If someone comes in last, doesn't do their punishment, then they would be subject to be replaced. Now, maybe we vote on if they get replaced or not. That we'd figure out all the details before the season starts. But I feel like that is the route to go. And now some of you might be hearing this and being like, I don't want to get ejected from the league. And what if the punishment is something I don't want to do and won't do? Well, I have an idea to make it easier for that person. I came up with a list of potential punishments we could discuss. You know, you have the classic, you go eat pancakes at Denny's. Here's some other ones that I found online, modified them a little bit. You got to do your own podcast episode, and the league picks what that podcast is about. I saw a good one for a Travis Kelce GQ photo shoot. If you haven't seen his recent photo shoot, look it up. It's ridiculous. It would be absolutely hilarious if the loser had to remake their own version of that. So another one, running a lemonade stand. Loser has to run a lemonade stand for X amount of hours. A loser mile. They stream themselves running a mile, talking about how they suck at fantasy. You know, we can get creative, but the more important part that I wanted to highlight is that I would recommend we have a list of potential punishments, not just one. And the loser gets to choose from that list. So my proposal is that we come up with a list of acceptable punishments for the last place manager. We set a date they have to do it by, sometime probably during the summer or maybe even immediately after the season. I don't know. We'd figure that out. And they get to choose which one they would like to do. And maybe we even have a financial punishment as an option, where one of the options is you can give each league member $10. I don't know. We can figure it out so that it's not so painful that you don't want to do it. But there is a strict penalty if you don't do it, and that would be getting replaced by Sean. So I've always wanted this league to have a punishment. I think it's the one element missing from our league to really stamp it. I mean, it's already stamped as the greatest league in the world, but by adding a punishment, we really show that we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. So that's the punishments. On the ballot, you'll be able to vote yes, no, or don't care to increase the punishment. And this will require at least 6 yes votes. If we get 4 no votes, it won't pass. If we don't get 6 yes votes, it won't pass. So really, if you're an I don't know I don't care kind of guy, really think about which way you lean. And I recommend you actually check yes if you prefer to have it. Don't just default don't care because you don't really want to have to think about it. Because this is significant, it will require an actual yes vote. And then the other part of this is if we do vote yes for this, then we'd also want to make sure that we're comfortable with making the toilet bowl loser get last pick for bed selection. So that's going to be another part of the ballot as well. And one caveat with this whole category, if we vote yes for punishments, but then we can't decide on a punishment before the start of the season, then this will get overturned and it won't even matter, because we will need to make sure that we agree on the punishments before the season starts. So, take your time to think through if you're willing to publicly embarrass yourself if you come in last. But know that if we vote yes on this and can't come up with something, it just goes away. So that's punishments. Third up, a little fun. Actually, punishments are fun too, but this one is the trade party blind auction. So I brought this up. On the last podcast, I brought up the concept of getting more FAAB. And it does seem like there's mixed reviews on having the option to add more FAAB, but it did seem like there might be interest in some little gimmicky blind auction for FAAB. And so I thought a little bit more about what that could look like. And I came up with something that I think will be just a fun part of the trade party, but isn't so consequential that people are throwing money away to get some FAAB, and it doesn't take people out of contention who really don't want to be spending any more money on this league that they already do. And so my proposal, again, I will not be heartbroken if we do not do this, is the FAAB wheel. So this concept would be still around the blind auction, but you are bidding to spin the FAAB wheel. So everyone puts in a bid. No one knows what everyone's bidding. I might bid $4. Hopkins might bid $44, and everyone in between. Who knows? You can bid zero. The winner of that silent auction then gets to spin the FAAB wheel. Now, my vision for this wheel is that it would be mostly $1 to $4 of FAAB, with a couple of $5 options, a $10 option, and even a $20 option. That's like the grand prize. We'd figure out exactly what the grand prize would be, but it would also have a couple of $0 options. So you win the silent auction. We spin the wheel in front of everybody, and you get that amount of FAAB based on what the wheel decides. So if you're really desperate, you could throw a $20 silent bid in here in hopes of winning, but you could still win 0 FAAB. So is this stupid? Yes. Could it be a waste of money for somebody? Yes. But the best part is we then get to laugh at them. But the risk you take, you potentially could win $20 FAAB. I don't even know if that's the real number. That's the highest I would feel comfortable having it be. But we could discuss about that further if this gets approved. So on the ballot, you'll vote yes, no, or don't care for the blind auction. And this will require more yes votes than no votes. And we'll need at least 8 yes or don't care. We need at least 2/3 of the league being in support of this, either with a yes or they don't care either way. And if we don't meet those two things, we're not doing it. Maybe next year we explore FAAB a little bit more, because it was discussed. It did seem like there's appetite to look into it a little bit, but this was my fun, gimmicky trade party idea that I like, but if you're not for it, just say no. It's that simple. Number 4 is post-draft waivers. So I brought this up on the last episode. Bubba can't decide if he wants to be in or out. So since our draft is earlier, we are going to have an extended preseason. We're going to have 10, I can't remember if it's 10 or 11. I think it's 11. 11 days between the draft and the start of the year, which is 11 days where players can get hurt. It's 11 days of depth charts changing. And that raises some red flags to me of potential frustration of people. I'm just envisioning someone stealing a new starting running back because someone else got hurt during preseason practice and it fucking over someone while someone else just gets super lucky and they saw the news right away because they were on the shitter at work and they were able to beat everyone to the punch. We usually actually do face this issue, but it's only for like a day and it maybe one player a preseason this actually applies to. But I could see it being a bigger issue this year. And so I want to make sure that we're all aware of this and make a decision based on what we think is the right way to handle this this year. So there's really a couple of options we have to handle how non-drafted players are handled following the draft. Option 1 is that all non-drafted players immediately become free agents and are available to be picked up at any time by anyone. That's how it's always been. At least for the next day. I think it really does depend on what day our draft has been on, but always immediately after the draft, like literally seconds after the draft, you could pick players up. And then a day or two later, they would be added to waivers, and then the season would start, and it would just be normal. So we could keep that same thing. I don't know exactly how many days they would be free agents for. If our draft is on Sunday, then I would guess they'd probably be free agents the entire week. Maybe they'd go to waivers on Monday. Maybe on Tuesday. But if not on Tuesday, then it would be the full week. So you just have to be extra cautious and be paying very close attention to all the non-drafted players if we continue that for a week and a half and then it's normal. Our other option is to move them to waivers. And we have 2 different routes we can go with that. We could have our waivers run normally. So following the draft, people would be able to make their bids and put in their waiver claims and they would process on Wednesday like they do during the regular season. Or we can even have daily waivers. So we could have every day during the preseason, people can put in their bids and their waiver requests, and then they would process the next day. So you wouldn't need to be on top of your phone, on Twitter, watching ESPN every minute of every single day, because you don't have to be the fastest to put in the claim at that point. You would just need to be on top of it every single day. And as long as you get it in by the end of the night, you'd be able to get your guy. So if one of your players did get hurt, you would be able to pick up their backup. You would just need to claim them on waivers and outbid everybody else. So it would equal the playing field quite a bit. And again, this might not even be an issue. I might be kind of just being overly cautious, but that is a route we could go as well. So on the ballot, you'll be voting to whether you want people on waivers, you want them to be free agents, or you don't care. And if we decide on waivers, we'll also make a decision on if we want them daily waivers or normal weekly waivers. And if that's confusing to you, well, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to explain it. That's all I got. And if you need for this one, because it is a little complicated, I think I'm leaning towards daily waivers, but I really don't care. I'm just leaning towards waivers. But if you need to ask questions about this and you're not really understanding what the issue is or even what I'm proposing here, what our options are, feel free to text me or put it in the group chat. So that's this one. And then we have one last one, roster sizes. It comes up every year. Comes up every single season. At least one person will bring up roster sizes because of how deep our league is, because of how bad injuries can get, because of how thin the waiver wire is. This is a conversation every single year. I know we voted on it in 2023. I saw it in my Google Forms. And it was brought up again today once I asked for a last call. And so I'm bringing it up again because I know it's always on people's minds, at least a couple. Pre-Superflex, there was a point we increased our bench to 7. Or maybe it was from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7. I don't even remember. I didn't go back and look at all the history, but I know pre-Superflex we made our bench bigger because the quarterback carousel and having to start 2 quarterbacks was mayhem. That was pure chaos back then. Then sometime after Superflex, we switched it. We've switched it a couple times. Then we added an IR spot for COVID. We added a second IR spot. We removed a bench spot at some point. I don't remember the order, but we now have 6 bench and 2 IR spots. Waiver wires are still pretty thin, but you can get some great players from the waivers. I think we were voted on this last year to reduce the bench, I think, and it was turned down. I think it was a no. And since it was brought up again to me, I'm adding it to the survey because I do think people think about this from time to time. I think it does come up. So, again, we'll just vote on it. So on the ballot, you will vote yes, no, or don't care if you'd like to see a reduction in the roster size. This will require at least 6 yes votes if we're going to pass. And if we get 4 no votes, if we have a third of the league is against this, it's not happening. Even if we have 8 yeses, we need to have a very heavy majority to make this change, because it is substantial and will impact your experience in the league. I'm probably in the don't care camp. I will try to make a decision, yes or no, so that I can help push the vote in an actual direction. But I'm definitely curious what the results of your votes will be. If we do decide, yes, we are going to reduce the bench size or the roster size, then we will also make a decision on whether that's reducing the bench by 1 or the amount of IR spots by 1. So that's in there. The survey will make it pretty clear on what your options are. If it comes down to it, it's like it looks really split, but it's like right on the edge of qualifying, then maybe I'll have a second vote. Because I don't. This is the one that I'm the most nervous about making a change and having people be unhappy about. The rest is pretty straightforward shit that like doesn't impact anything too significantly, but this one definitely does. So voice your concern on the ballots, but also put it in the group chat. Like, so I'm gonna send this survey out. Submit your answers by Friday at noon. That gives me time to tally shit up, put it in a mini episode and get it out that night or Saturday morning. But in the meantime, for any of these things that are up for discussion, put it in the group chat if you want to make your case. If you want to plead your case and say, fuck yes, let's do punishments. I want to see Dickey do a Travis Kelce GQ shoot. Fucking put it in there. and rally the troops and try to get people to vote with you. If you do not want to reduce the bench size, say that. If you want to reduce the IR spot, say that. Like, for anything in here, I'm not going to put my opinion too heavily out there in the group chat. If it seems to be going back and forth, maybe I'll share my perspective, but I'd much rather have you all kind of push for the things that you think are important to help people make up their minds, especially for those that like to vote, don't care. It's helpful for them to hear from the rest of the league. So submit your ballots by Friday at noon. I'll tally it up. I'll make a decision based on the votes, and anything that is pending will be brought to the FaceTime on Sunday, and we will make a call before the draft starts. So that is everything. Quick recap. Ballots by Friday at noon. Driver selection will be shared probably Saturday morning. The race is 7:30 p.m. And then the draft is at 8:30 Sunday. Let us know if you're going to be late. The FaceTime will start at 8 p.m. And anybody can join the FaceTime, even if you don't have an iPhone. Let me know if you have any questions. Push for your votes in the group chat and get started on your draft prep, because I know I need to. I am way fucking behind on my draft prep, but I think that might be the solution this year. Jovi 2 years ago was like, I'm leaning heavy into prep this year. I'm ready, and he won. I'm saying the opposite. I'm doing less, and it's going to be a different me this year. So can't wait. Can't wait to see you all on Sunday on our group chat in the video chat, and it's going to be a fun year. All right, y'all. Peace out.
You want to play games? Okay. I'll play with you. Come on. Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Uno. Say hello to my little friend. Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yolanda!